Good afternoon, Chairman Brown, Ranking Members Swalwell and Maffei of the Energy and Oversight Committee. I'm here on behalf of the City of Syracuse at a request of Congressman Maffei. I want to thank you for allowing me to share my experience in dealing with hazardous materials and rail transportation and the challenges that first responders face on a daily basis. As a joint effort between the Syracuse Fire Department and Onondaga County Department of Emergency Management, we contacted CSX for information about Bakken oil. Initially, shipment information was not made available. With persistent pressure from state and federal, local governments, CSX agreed to meet with the Syracuse Fire Department to discuss the movement of Bakken oil. In the meeting, we received information about shipments and hazards associated with Bakken oil. We were able to establish a dialogue with CSX that eventually brought educational resources to first responders. With information about the light sweet crude, we made a hazard assessment to determine what, if any, gaps existed in our response plans to an accident involving Bakken crude trains. It was determined that additional training and planning were two key components in dealing with this hazard. Because of what we believed to be the lower ignition temperature of the crude as compared to other crude shipments, the hazard has increased. In reviewing incidents in Quebec and North Dakota, information from several other sources, we recognized the hazard of transportation of Bakken crude. We were advised that the rail lines run along the northern border of our city and are being utilized for the movement of this product. CSX lines border Onondaga Lake at the southernmost end and is adjacent to Destiny USA, a large shopping and entertainment center. The rail proceeds past the William F. Welch Regional Transportation Center, a minor league ballpark, and a light industrial area. Once out of the city's jurisdiction, the trains move to the East Syracuse rail yards, a village on the eastern border of the city. Following the issuance of an emergency order from the U.S. Department of Transportation that required railroad carriers to release information in writing to state emergency response centers in each state in which the rail carriers that transporting 1 million gallons or more of Bakken crude, CSX disseminated information commodities transported through central New York. The data from the 2013 Hazardous Materials Density Study in Onondaga County reported the number of carloads and percentage of total hazardous materials that is transported through our county. The Bakken crude comprised the greatest share of hazardous materials transported at 34% of the total. We found that many other hazardous materials were transported through the city, which we have known for a long time that these commodities move through the city, but we're unaware of the amounts. There are large quantities of liquefied petroleum gas, sulfuric acid, propane, chlorine, and ethanol, to name a few. There are shorter rail lines besides CSX that traverse through downtown Syracuse and move tank and bulk products. The Bakken crude moves through central New York on a rail every day. There are 2 trains that daily traverse Syracuse that are approximately 100 tank cars in each train. When the concern for potential hazards of this commodity was brought to light that these trains were in our community, we had a little information about shipment outside of media reports. With information in hand, we determined a course of action. Training became the next step in our progression. The training program supplied by CSX was presented to our members, containing DVD lessons that matched the workbook in dealing with rail emergencies. After the completion of these lessons, CSX brought their safety train program into Syracuse for some hands-on training and working with DOT 111 tank cars. A total of 60 members of the Syracuse Fire Department attended this hands-on training. Those members are assigned to stations that respond to the rail incidents should a Bakken crude train have an incident. Participants in this training include our hazardous materials unit, where the balance of our department is going to receive awareness training on rail incidents. From the perspective of the Syracuse Fire Department, Bakken crude trains do not present the only hazard for first responders. A vast array of other hazardous materials that move through our jurisdiction require us to be prepared for all hazards. The Syracuse Fire Department hazardous materials team must train and equip to deal with whatever emergency might come our way, besides establishing procedures for dealing with Bakken train at the present. However, I am confident we are prepared to respond should an incident happen. Because of the potential for a transportation accident, we train to meet all hazards. The Syracuse Fire Department is also working with the local emergency planning committee to help protect the public from an incident. In November of 2011, a train derailed in a residential area of the city of Syracuse. Several tank trains and bulk hopper cars derailed. The tank car carrying non-odorized propane was our biggest hazard. Because of the potential hazard, we evacuated approximately 100 homes. This also caused the closure of a main highway, Route Interstate 81. The origin of the incident was determined to be a bad section of track. The deficient track was identified in July of that year and was not repaired. The section of track that caused the derailment was in the middle of the city, causing the cars to be dragged up to 1 mile further before overturning. Fortunately, there was not a release of propane, and the cars were eventually righted without further incident. The city and the county have created a stockpile of firefighting foam and are acquiring appliances to deliver foam at an incident. Additionally, with the production of an ethanol plant in the nearby city of Fulton, we are finding large quantities of ethanol being transported through central New York. The hazardous materials team of the Syracuse Fire Department is comprised of 36 highly trained hazmat technicians. All members meet or exceed the standards for training set forth by CFR 2919-10-120 and NFPA 472. All hazmat officers as well as chief officers of the Syracuse Fire Department are trained in hazardous materials incident command. The Syracuse Fire Department hazmat team is a regional response team for a 3-county area in central New York. We are a FEMA Type 1 team, the only team in our region. We have responded outside of our area in New York State on mutual aid assets for natural disasters that have affected the state. At a time when increasing demand for emergency services are becoming more complex, local resources are becoming financially strapped very quickly. The assistance from state and federal resources and shippers would provide for responder training, development of effective response capabilities, and planning to be able to safely mitigate an incident and protect the public from harm. I want to thank you for holding today's meeting about transportation of bulk and petroleum and rail safety. The hazards of this product are not unlike others, but because of the volume that has moved across America through many small communities, has created a tremendous concern. Should an accident happen similar to the ones that have already occurred, local resources will be overtaxed quickly. To be able to protect the public, emergency response agencies need the tools to respond and mitigate accidents. Prevention of accidents should also be on the forefront of this endeavor, whether through engineer-controlled track maintenance or product safer transportation. I'll answer any questions.